Hey everybody, Mike here. It is February 17th. It is Friday. I'm not recording on a Thursday, but it is Friday. I'm probably going to put this out on February 18th, but it is actually Friday the 17th, so thank God it's Friday. Where have I been? I'm surprised people are still around. People are asking me daily what's going on. But I'm going to give you an explanation of what's been going on since Christmas Eve up until now. Do I look a little thinner? I lost a lot of weight. Okay, here's the deal. We all know that or people that are familiar with the backstory, that on Christmas Eve night, I went into emergency room because of really hardcore right back pain. I ended up getting admitted to the hospital, and they ended up doing a CT scan, and they discovered that I had 2 kidney stones, very large, blocking the ureter, one 8 millimeter and one 10 millimeter. Really good size. I think a week before I had a ultrasound. They said they didn't see any stones in there, so I probably won't be trusting ultrasounds from this point on. It'll be complete CT scans to see what I got going on up in there. Anyway, the emergency doctor came in. I'm not going to mention any names, any hospitals, or anything at all. I'm just going to give you the story. But the emergency doctor came in and placed a stent from the kidney to the bladder. Got that done. They sent me home. He screwed up on both of the medication prescriptions, so I wasn't able to pick the most important one, the pain meds, for that Christmas weekend. And I thought the stupidity was going to stop there, especially with his very bad bedside manner at emergency, but nope, it continued on. Okay, recovered from that. Now I was living with the stent. January 10th, I believe, came around, and they decided to do the sonic lithotripsy on the kidney. They did it. I got pounded pretty hard up here, felt like my ribs were broken, big old red mark on my side. It says on my paperwork to call the doctor tomorrow for a 1-week appointment to see him in a week. And I call up and they said, wow, he's not going to be here next week. He's going to be on vacation till the end of the month. So I was in a bit of a panic, you know. I mean, what's going on? I'm doubling over. I'm in heavy pain because of getting pounded with this thing. The red, oh God, felt like I had broken ribs. Anyway, I called them, finally got in touch with somebody there. His office is so disorganized. It's a mess. It's the waiting room is horrific, and to call, you're at least 10, 15 minutes on hold every time. It's really disheartening. But I finally got in touch with them. They said he'll give you a call tomorrow. I waited 24 hours, no call. I called again. Well, they said it's usually 24 to 48. Finally, 2 days later, he ends up giving me a call. But it was 9 o'clock at night. I've given up. He's not calling tonight. I'm pissed off. I go in, I take a shower, I come out. There's a voicemail on my phone. And the voicemail is him telling me that the procedure went great. Everything worked fine, but we went ahead and left the stent in anyway in case there's some residual stuff that comes out. Okay, great. I call back the next day, since he's going to be gone on vacation, to go ahead and schedule up an appointment 3 weeks down the line. Just wanted to make sure I got my spot saved. And he ends up telling the nurse, hey, you know what? Come on down. We'll get an x-ray. Let's take a look at it. Let's see what's going on. I go down, I get an x-ray. This is like 10 o'clock in the morning. If you can get down here like within 30 minutes, let's get it done. I did. I got an x-ray, took it upstairs, and there's the 2 stones still sitting there. The lithotripsy didn't even work. So I don't know why he left the message telling me it was a success, unless he meant the therapy was a success and it didn't crack my ribs open or my kidney didn't explode. I don't know what he meant by success, but anyway, they're still there. So now he's scratching his head and he's thinking, well, how are we going to get these out? Are we going to go up with a laser, or are we going to go through your back to get them? I'm not the surgeon. I don't know what's best for me, so let him make the decision. They end up calling me, a week later, saying they're going to go ahead and go with laser. Let's schedule the appointment for the 9th, which was last Thursday. All right, so now we're up to the 9th. I get scheduled up. I get down to the surgery center, and they take me in. They get it all done, and boom, there you go. Everything's done. They hand me a cup, and it's got 2 very large stones in it. I only have one of them that's over there, but the other one I gave to somebody else, which will come into the story later. But they were 2 very large stones, but they were only half the size of what they originally were, because I guess what they do is they chew them up with laser, and once they're small enough, then they pull them out through the ureter, I guess. Anyway, that was it. I wake up from surgery. I'm on my way home. My buddy Matt's driving me home, and I'm feeling pretty darn queasy on the ride home. So by the time I get to the front door, I run to the bathroom, and I'm dry heaving. You know, from surgery, you're not allowed to eat or drink, so nothing was coming up. I was dry heaving over and over and over again. Matt took off, went and filled the antibiotic prescription, and came back. I had probably polished off a couple of these guys already, because, I was thirsty after the surgery. And that was it. Matt, I'm on my own. It's hurting, it's getting pretty painful, but to be expected, I guess, with surgery. Matt ends up taking off, and I'm kicking back by the house by myself, and the pain starts to go up, 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 up. I'm breaking into cold sweats. I'm now vomiting the water up that I'm drinking. I'm feeling like I'm gonna pass out. It's not cold and just cold and clammy. It was horrific. So I get on the phone. I call my Blue Cross Blue Shield 24-hour nurse line. She asks right away, "What are your symptoms you're having right now?" I told her my symptoms. She says, "We need to hang up, and you need to call 911." That's what I did. Fire department shows up. They check my blood pressure. It was 159 over 111, really elevated. I was still sweating. It's a cool day out. Everything's nice. I'm still sweating. I'm feeling like I'm going to pass out. And they tell me, "You know what, man, you need to go to the emergency room." And I'm thinking, the laser surgery is less, it does less damage to you, to my understanding, than the sonic. So it's going to be less pain. It's a quicker recovery time. But man, it wasn't feeling like it. So my neighbor was nice enough to take me to the emergency room. I get admitted. By the time I get into the emergency room, the pain is so heavy, you can't even barely touch my side. My side was tight. You could barely touch it, and I would scream in pain. They end up rushing me to get a CT scan done, and they do a full x-ray. Now I'm in the room, and I'm kicking and screaming, and they weren't able to get... The pharmacy there at the hospital is pretty slow, and I've experienced this too much already. They're really slow in getting the medications to you, and I heard from one of the nurses say that we need a pharmacy up on like each floor, kind of a thing. But they finally get me morphine. They give me a full dose of morphine. Doesn't touch it at all. I'm starting to go into harder pain, and my body is starting to shake and shiver out of control. Not because I'm cold. It just feels like body shock. My nurse... The male nurse who was taking care of me when they brought me into emergency was, he's watching over me here and there, but there's not much they can do. He ordered the pain medication, and I'll try to get it rushed. But finally, after about 45 minutes, man, I'm thinking I was literally thinking I was going to die. I've never felt that kind of pain before ever in my life. Just all over it went from my kidney just all over my body. And I'm just soaking wet, sweating. He finally comes in, and they give me one dose of Dilaudid, and that cut it down from a 12 in pain down to about maybe an 8. So I'm still in pretty much a lot of pain. In the meantime, the doctors come in, and they say what they see on the CT scan is that the stent that was going up the ureter into the kidney that the doctor put in surgery appears to be causing a blockage, is what it looks like. So basically when they did the surgery, the laser surgery, he took the old stent out, went up, did the whole laser thing, pulled it back out, put a new stent in, and then sent me home. Okay, so they tell me it looks like it's causing some sort of a blockage. Well, yeah, no doubt it was, and they're afraid it might start causing septic or something with all the urine that was being blocked up, and it's kind of like just sitting there like soup. So they send me in to get an emergency nephrostomy tube put in, and that's where they put a tube through your back and into your back, and then they poke it into your kidney, and then from there it relieves pressure into a bag. So they did that, and that gave me, it was just local when they did it. They gave me some local shots. I'm on my stomach. I could feel them doing the work, but soon as they put that in and the bag was connected, I felt instant relief of all that pain. It was unbelievable. And it just, everything was just draining into the bag. Blood and urine, it was just, oh, it was sickening. So this was on the 9th. They get me a room. I end up in a hospital room. And now I'm spending the night with my left kidney urinating normal through my bladder, but my right kidney is dumping into this bag for the back pressure. That ureter is no longer working any longer. It's a bypass. So the following day, they finally get a hold of the jackhole doctor, and he comes down and he ends up pulling the stent out. And let me tell you, after my body was already in shock from everything that I had felt before, this guy comes in rude to the nurses, rude to the outside nurses, saying stupid things when he comes into the room that the nurses are all just out there sitting on their asses. I don't need to hear this. And let me tell you, the nurses at the hospital were nothing but perfect. They were perfection. They were fabulous. But every nurse that I was talking to, you could see the kind of look on their faces when they knew the doctor who was that did all of this. And you could see they weren't very happy with the guy. They weren't very happy with the guy at all. I don't think he didn't get along with any of the staff or anybody. And some kind of hush-hush things were kind of told to me, which probably shouldn't have been told to me from staff. But anyway, he comes in and he brings in this cart with this scope tube thing, and I didn't know what was going to happen, and my nurse was even completely shocked that he was going to do this procedure in the room. He wasn't going to take me to a different room, that he's going to do it right in there. Some huge bag hung up on the thing which has liquid in it that drains and cleans, and oh my God. And I'll use this little pen as something really quick. I mean, he grabs me and he jabs into me and then pulls out really quick as he puts in this numbing gel. And when you feel it, it felt like a knife going right into you. And then right away, he grabs this tube thing and shoves it up inside of me, and it's probably about the size of your pinky, if not a little bit bigger. And then in goes this camera, this water thing starts up, and he goes in with this huge thing of tools with his scope thing that he's using, and I guess they're grabbing the stent to pull out. They do that. My poor nurse is literally, she was looking at me. She sees a tear going down up my eye. I'm in complete shock over all of this, especially with, like I said, what my body's already been through. She's looking at me and she's tearing up in her eyes as I'm holding on to, with dear life, with her hand. She's in shock. And then she voiced to me, I can't believe he did this in this room, that he didn't take me to another place to get it done. He's fumbling with the equipment when he was setting it up. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be there because he knew he effed up. He knew it. He knew it completely, 100%. Now he's talking to me about what he did. And basically what he did is when he went up with the laser And all the work that he was doing, he damaged my ureter on the side. So when the new stent was going into the ureter, there was a hole on the ureter where it threaded out, and then it threaded back into the ureter, creating a blockage. So it was done from the get-go. I mean, there was nothing to get, you know, that went slowly but surely bad. I mean, it was bad from the get-go. And he repeats himself several times. He says other things several times. Oh, by the way, when he came into the room, very first time ever this doctor ever shook my hand. He came in, shook my hand really quick, and then went about his... Oh, he was just a million miles an hour. He didn't want to be there. In, out is what he wanted. Done with the procedure, gets all the equipment. They're wheeling it out. It looked like a crash cart. They're wheeling it out. As they're wheeling it out, that's what he does to me. Bye. He just waves as he's going out. Doesn't say bye, just waves. Goes out the room. My nurse, I almost said her name. My nurse is holding my hand, and she's stroking the top of my head. She's stroking my head, man. And I had never felt so freaking violated in my life. Would have been better if he would have had a better attitude about the whole thing, but he didn't. It was just done in such a mean, mean way. So now the stent that he put in on surgery on 9th is now out. I don't know if he was in a rush when he was yelling at the nurses like it was a big emergency. The emergency was already over. The pressure was relieved. I had a bag I'm peeing into from the kidney. Everything's fine at that point. Not hunky-dory. I mean, I'm still in pain, but, you know, the main pressure's gone. He could have taken his time if he wanted to. Okay, now that same day on the 10th, they end up taking me back down to interventional radiology. They're the ones that did the nephrostomy tube and the bag. What they're going to do now at this point is they are going to put in a new stent from the back down the ureter into the bladder instead of up this way. So they successfully get that done. They know how paranoid I am, the staff there, because they know he screwed up. I told them that he screwed up. And so they know I'm really paranoid about this. So they're reassuring me that they have live x-ray picture and they can see everything going in of how it's supposed to go in. So they placed the stent in. Didn't matter. I was still paranoid about it. They finally put the stent in. And then what they do is the bag is now, instead of a pressure relief, it's more like a drain now. So I was freaking out when my nephew came down. Thank God my nephew came down. He showed up like 1 o'clock in the morning on the 10th. I was wide awake. I mean, I wasn't asleep at all. I didn't sleep maybe 2-3 hours in the 50 some odd hours I was at the hospital. And what was I going to say? I just completely lost track. My mind's going a million miles an hour. Anyway, they got me down into interventional radiology. They placed the stent in. And now it's a... I was going to say that I was freaking out that after they put the bag in, I wasn't able to go pee. I wasn't able to go pee now. And yeah, I wasn't able to urinate like I normally do, but the bag is filling up so much quicker. And I'm freaking out thinking, did he damage something? And now I can't go to the bathroom normally. And I was, you know, I mean, my head was running. I was gone, man. Plus with the pain meds and everything, jeez, man, it was horrible. Anyway, ended up, my nephew remembers the nurse saying, yes, this was going to be a drain now. So it looks for the least pressure. So I would imagine all the urine from here into the bladder was now going up the stent and into the drain bag. And they left it as a drain bag because they wanted to make sure the stent was working properly. Isn't that a nice thought? To make sure the stent is working properly? Yeah, it sure is. And it was. So the following day, on the 11th, they finally got a hold of him, and the order was now to go back down to interventional radiology, and they're going to take out the nephrostomy stent and the bag, and they're going to double make sure that now they're going to see urine coming down from the kidney into the bladder. Once they see that, then they are going to close up the wound and apply pressure and put a dressing on it and all that stuff. And one of the techs there actually let me see. I was able to stretch back and I could actually see the live picture that was happening. But as the doctor was working, she was telling me, I'm pulling the tube out now. I've disconnected the bag. I'm pulling the tube out now. And you could feel the pressure that she was applying on it after she pulled the tube out. And then she waited. And what she was waiting for, as I said, to see the urine go down and into the bladder. Everything's working great. They sealed me up. Sealed me up, put a dressing on it, sent me back. I had to stick around the hospital for about another 4 hours to make sure I was urinating properly and everything was working normally. And it was. And they ended up sending me home. Thank God my nephew was kind enough to spend the night at the hospital, both nights. That was very cool. And then we came to the house and he took care of me. Otherwise, I probably would have had to have had a nurse come down to the house and stuff. But it was great to have him here. I mean, he was a lifesaver. And it was good to have him here for moral support as well after what I had been through and everything. And he got to witness pretty much a lot of it. So that was the nightmare. Today is, what did I say? Today's the 17th? Yeah, today's the 17th. Oh, this is the other thing. When I was before the doctor came down to take out the old stent, I got a call from his office. First time. I've already done 2 procedures with him. First time ever I got a call from their office wondering how I'm doing. Other medications are available for you and this and that. They seem to be concerned now. They really seem to be concerned about it now. Ridiculous. It is now the 17th. That happened on last Thursday. I got out of the hospital on Saturday, and today is Friday, and I have not received a call from them at all. Nothing up to this point. Nothing at all. I did get a call from the hospital. I gave them the names of all of my nurses that I wished for her to go and thank. That I just thanked them from the bottom of my heart. I got a call from the surgery place where they did the original surgery. She really wasn't expecting to get the answer when, how are you doing? I'm in emergency room, when they called me when I was actually in emergency after I got the second dose of Dilaudid in me, which brought down the pain considerably. Anyway, boy, long story, even longer. Today is Friday. On the paperwork, they wanted me to make a 1-week appointment with my doctor. Ah, yes. And that appointment never got made. I went to go see my regular doctor, my normal medical doctor. Great man. I won't tell you what happened there, but I respect this guy so much. I told him I never want to see this doctor again. So he gives me the name of a doctor that isn't connected with this doctor or his group of people. Totally separate group. So that was the appointment today. I walk into well, first off, I called up. My doctor was the one that made the appointment for me, but I called up the other day and I had said, the urology place, and I said, hey, is there paperwork online I can get? Because you have a stack of paperwork you have to fill out. Is there a place I can go online, I can print it out, and then I can fill it out? They sent me to it. They answered like right away. I wasn't on hold for 10, 15 minutes. I got a hold of somebody that was talking really gentle and nice, not the attitude that I got at the other office at all times. And I make my way to the office this morning, and the old office is just scattered with so many people, and everybody looks pissed off. The staff is pissed off. Nobody's happy there. Nobody's happy there at all. I walk into this place and it's like, there's hardly anybody in here. It's just me when I arrive. They get me back. They sit me down. I can't believe it's like an actual doctor's office, from what I been used to at this other hack's place. And the doctor comes in. First thing he does, shakes my hand really super hard, introduces himself, asks me, where are you from? And I'm like, I couldn't compute that at first because I'm still on such I'm in such the defensive mode that I didn't compute it right. And I was thinking like, well, where did you come from? Did you come from this doctor or that doctor? That's what I thought. And he goes, no, no, no. Where are you? Are you from here in Arizona? And I was like, yeah, I'm here from, you know, I've lived here all my life and da-da-da. And then we started talking about, he saw this, NASA. And he goes, oh man, I love telescopes. And he told me what kind of telescope he had. And I said, yeah, I have a telescope. And we started talking about astrophotography. We started talking about guitars. We started talking about music. And we're just like talking, you know, and then that finally fades away after about 10 minutes or so. And then he says, I'll tell you what I know. And he explains everything that happened at the hospital. So he obviously read through a bunch of notes or whatever. But the only thing he couldn't find is what happened at the surgical place. That's still unknown. He wants to know what damage was done, what was done. But that still isn't posted anywhere for anybody to see. So they're going to go ahead and get my records. And I've already signed off so they can go ahead and get the records from the doctor and also from the surgical center. Then I have to go back in 2 weeks. But while I was there, I wasn't expecting to get a checkup. I thought this was just like a meet and greet, you know, like a lot of doctors do, you know. But it's got such a nice, personal guy. He's a younger guy, and just he's outstanding, man. Has the most wonderful bedside manner, as opposed to the idiot hack that I had before, who had absolutely no, and I'm not exaggerating, no bedside manner at all whatsoever. Yeah, I ended up getting a full checkup for lumps and bumps in my jizzunk, and I passed the test there, passed the test in other places where he was poking and prodding. He said, everything's good. When was the last time you had a prostate exam? Well, I get a lot of PSAs all the time, which are the ones by blood tests and everything. And he goes, but when was the last time you had a real prostate exam? And I said, well, it's been a few years. And he's like, you turn around, boom, slaps on a glove, checks my prostate, gives it a feel, says, everything feels good. I wasn't expecting to have that happen, but I guess that's what a normal urologist does. You know, somebody that doesn't mind touching you. I must have shaken the guy's hand at least 4 or 5 times before we left the room to go up to the front. Told him how much I appreciated him. He could see it. He could see it in my face. It's like I could see almost like the confusion in his face. Like, well, this is just normal for me, you know. But it wasn't for me. He walks me up to the front. He stands there with me as we're making appointments for the next in a couple of weeks, what needs to be done as far as getting my records and everything. And he waits for me to fill out all my paperwork. And then when I'm done, I wasn't expecting him to still be there. And he's standing there smiling, and he puts out his hand, gives me a big old handshake. And I was happy. I'm happy with this guy. He's one doctor under one building. He's not like this other hack with multiple doctors underneath trying to move you through like cattle. Which the waiting room, it's got a big waiting room, and it's always just packed, and it's jacked up in there. The attitude is jacked up. This place makes you feel comfortable. The new place, I love it. I love it. I love it there. I just found out that my video camera automatically turns off after 30 minutes. I don't think I've ever taped past 30 minutes before. But it saw it, and it cut me off. Anyway, that's where I'm at right now. No bag, no tube up in here. The stent that the hospital put in is still in there. And so now we're waiting to see how long this has to stay in. So the ureter can heal up properly before they pull that stent out. That is it. That was a long story. Sorry, man. It's a super long story. Imagine so many of you are going to like listen for 10 minutes and whomp, it's over. Anyway, that's it. Get some sun, get some exercise, be healthy, and I will see you sometime. Bye.